So this is basically just a screenshot of the site. So it's probably a little bit blurry, but just to kind of give you a general idea of, what it did look like back in the day. So as you can see, when you first come to the site, we've got the main logo here, and I really love that logo. Like I put a lot of thought into the design of that, and I think it does kind of what I wanted to do in that. It's quite elegant, I think. It's quite friendly with the pink. It's quite welcoming. We did have the tagline here, a home for entrepreneurs and girl bosses, but it didn't really tell you exactly what the site was about. It wasn't really apparent when you landed on the site, what it is that you should really, really expect from it. I think it gave you a general idea, but it wasn't, particularly specific, I guess. And, it makes a lot of sense because when I designed it, obviously, I just wanted to, to blog and to connect with other business people and other bloggers, while I was doing my design business, just to, share knowledge and, have someone to talk about who actually kind of knew what I was talking about. So the problem is that when I changed Creative and Coffee into this halfway point, when I was changing it into a business, it became this kind of hodgepodge of stuff, lots of workarounds. The customer journeys weren't at all clear. It was very difficult for paying customers or clients. There was no rhyme or reason to it because I really hadn't set out a clear path for them to go down. And there were sign-up forms in like the sidebar and in blog posts, but there weren't even any landing pages to really explain what they would be getting if they signed up. And when I launched the Instagram book, I actually just launched it to my email list, and I did a lot of promotion on Instagram itself for it, which obviously makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, there wasn't really a way for you to actually purchase it from the website until I kind of put it in the sidebar in a way that wasn't really obvious to people coming to the site, that we did actually sell things, which is not great. So basically, when we launched the book, there was only this one link to it, and it didn't really communicate to anyone coming to the website that we really sold things. And I wasn't really offering a particular service or product. The whole point of the site seemed kind of vague. So who was I and why was I doing this? Weren't necessarily answers that were immediately obvious. So if we look at how these problems kind of manifested themselves in terms of design, when we land here on the homepage, so I love the logo, and I think it gives a good sense visually about the values, feminine, elegant, quite warm, not very, it's not cold or anything. But it doesn't really say up front what we're about. And from a technical perspective, the WordPress theme that I was using was an absolute nightmare. The coding was all wrong. I had to go into the code and actually faff about with it quite a lot because some things just weren't working. But one of the other major things was this header you couldn't change. So the header had to be the same on all the pages, and it had to be present. Now, you can take the header out, but you had to go, as I said, back into the back end of the site and really fiddle about with the code, and it was just a nightmare, and it took ages, and it just wasn't intuitive at all. And as the site moved more towards business, I found myself wanting to create a lot of landing pages. So having a header that was fixed and not able to be changed was a real problem, because obviously with landing pages, you really want to get straight to the point. So that was absolutely something that I knew I wanted to change, and something that really, really needed to go, and that a new theme was definitely going to be involved in that. So moving down the page, you've got obviously the menu there, and then you come to these three blog posts with the sign up for the Instagram course in the middle. Now, from a design perspective, I think it looks quite nice. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, visually speaking, but it doesn't really pop, I guess, is the word for it. It doesn't really stand out particularly. The information in itself doesn't seem that remarkable. So whilst the content in itself was very useful, I think, for example, the MailChimp for beginners there that's on the end, a lot of people found really helpful. So I think MailChimp's something a lot of us struggle with, especially in the initial stages. It didn't really differentiate us in any particular way from other business sites. So although once you got into the content, you could definitely see what we were about and how we did things a little bit differently, up front, there was really no way of saying, hey, we're totally different from all these other blogging and business sites, other than the fact that we're really, really pink, which, you know, is not necessarily a bad thing. I think in terms of visuals, we kind of differentiated ourselves a little bit, but it wasn't like really immediate how we were absolutely different, or if we were offering something different in that sense. So as we go straight down, we jump straight into blog posts. Obviously, this screenshot was taken a little while ago, and this blog post here is actually an interview with Maru from Fashiony Fab, who's a fabulous designer, and I definitely recommend reading it. It's a really great interview. But at the same time, in terms of design for the site, the fact that it just jumped into blog posts, well, it made total sense when we started out, wasn't actually very good for the site that we, you know, wanted to have in terms of business, because there was really no client journey here. So, for example, if you wanted to say, I'm really interested in branding, there was no way of you to say, I want to go and look at all the branding posts. You just got all these blog posts just like up front, which wasn't particularly intuitive for people. They kind of just had to scroll through and try and find something that was useful for them. And, you know, in the beginning, when I was just blogging, I didn't want to basically do categories like that, because the whole point of the blog was that it was a creative outlet for me to just blog about whatever I wanted. So I didn't want to define the post like that. So, you know, obviously I wanted to be useful, but I wasn't really thinking about it in a particularly strategic way. So this kind of had to change in my mind as well, to give people a bit more direction so they could find stuff that was going to be really, really helpful to them, and, you know, just have a better experience on the website. In the sidebar, which is kind of the next really big thing we came to do, if I scroll down a little bit there. So for those of you who have been with me for quite a long time might remember, in this screenshot, it's actually got a picture of the Instagram book. But previous to this, it had the sign up for the Entrepreneur Library, which was a library of resources. It had all the lead magnets that were offered in the post were all in the library together. And this was something else that I wanted to change, because I've actually been trying to, in the last couple of weeks, sort my email list out, and also to prepare for the site going down. What I was doing was basically removing all of the opt-ins. Not entirely successfully, it has to be said, because people were still managing to opt in somehow. I'm not quite sure how they were managing it, because I thought I'd got all of them, but apparently not. Where there's a will, there's clearly a way. But when it came to the sidebar with this opting into the library, as I said before, one, there wasn't really a landing page, so it wasn't really speaking to anyone in particular. It was basically saying, hey, look, here's some free stuff. If you like the free stuff, you know, please sign up. And it worked. A lot of people did sign up. But there were a lot of people on the list that were literally just there for the free resources, not because they liked me or they loved the brand or they trusted me. They were just there to get whatever it was that they'd been offered with the post. And, you know, that's totally fine. You can't blame people for doing that. And absolutely, I wanted them to get a lot of value out of it. That's why it was there. But at the same time, it was making it really difficult for me, because actually the lead magnets themselves were very varied. So, for example, you'd have one that was a hashtag guide or a social media cheat sheet. But then you'd also have one that was CSS styling sheet, cheat sheet that you could go through as well, so coding. And basically what happened was that I ended up with this massive, huge, unwieldy email list with no real idea about what people wanted as a whole. You know, I just knew that they wanted more information. And it became incredibly difficult for me to keep everyone on that list happy, because, you know, for some people, you know, subject A, you know, coding, for example, was really interesting, and, you know, something they were totally interested in and really wanted to learn more about and was relevant to their business. And for the other half of the list, it was just something that either they already knew or something they weren't interested in at all. So that was one of the other things that I really wanted to focus on, was to make sure that when people signed up to the email list, they absolutely knew what they were signing up for. And it was very targeted to people. So I would know what stage of business that person was in, so I could give them the appropriate resources for their level, but also what they were interested in. So what I'll do, if I just take you over to the new site. So this is the new site for those of you who haven't visited yet. I hope you will pop over soon. As you can see, the pink is very much still intact. I was told that there would be riots if I removed the pink, so the pink is still with us, so don't worry. The red that I took out of the main logo is still there as well. It's a slightly deeper shade in this flower motif that we have, that you will see throughout the site and throughout the various branding on different platforms. And this is very deliberate, because the problem that we had with the previous branding was actually it was very difficult to translate it across platforms. So, for example, the font on Pinterest, because of the way that you shrink the images down in the feed, was basically illegible, like you couldn't read it at all. And it's really important on Pinterest to have very, very clear writing. So that was absolutely one of the things that I wanted to change. So now that we have this flower motif, it's very cohesive across all the platforms, and that's what links it together, but we don't have this problem of totally illegible writing. So moving on, you can see the coffee club is very prominent, and your invitation to join us. So immediately you land here. It's pretty, it's quite elegant, it's pink, I think it's quite welcoming, but also it's immediately obvious this is a club, this is a community, and that we'd like you to come join us. So just move that out of the way, and then immediately you come down and you get welcomed, and you're told sort of roughly, a little bit generally, about what the coffee club is. So instead of previously, like we had before, you just being thrown into this random pool of blog posts, you're immediately taken to what I would say is the main purpose of the site, which is to invite you to join us in this coffee club. So you say it's filled with resources, with challenges, and masterminds. And the mastermind in particular is something I'm really, really excited about. By having a group that's a big discussion group, and we can bounce ideas off each other. So if you're having problems launching something, or you just need some advice, or someone to just say, hey, can I bounce a couple of ideas off you, and get some feedback, that's a place that you can do it, and I'm really excited about that. So as you can see immediately, there's a very snazzy button here where you can sign up. And then further on down the page, we've got what Creative and Coffee is about. So the second stage of this is, while you're saying up front, hey, this is like the purpose of our site, the community. The second bit is also kind of reaching out to your ideal client. And as we said, that was something we had a little bit of a problem with before, in that we were kind of appealing to everyone. I wouldn't say this is something that is going to offend people and drive a lot of people away, but it's just something that gives you very much the tone and the values of Creative and Coffee. So you say we believe in dreaming, in freedom, in making our own reality, and doing it our way. So I'm hoping that this will really resonate with people, and that we'll get people who are really keen on creating that community and building those relationships and getting to know people and share things and learn from them. And I hope that that will resonate with people and will attract those kind of people into the community. And if you go down a little bit more, you can see you can look at our story to get a bit more information on that. Now, as we move down, you can see it's quite coffee related. And this is really important for me, this bit of the page, because as we were saying before, the customer or the client journey was really, well, there basically was none, or it was very broken up and it wasn't very easy to navigate. And with this bit, we've basically got three options. So the first one is I need help getting started. So these are for people who may have just started out blogging or haven't really got the tech stuff down yet and need a little help getting everything set up. Then we've got kind of the midway, which is people who have got their businesses up and running, but now they're kind of looking to grow. They've done that first step, but are maybe not getting the engagement and the feedback that they want, so they can join the course that we have there. And finally, we have the I just need someone to help me. And I'm really excited about offering this because I know sometimes that you'll be essentially trying to work out how to do something, and you'll read blog post upon blog post, and there's just too much information to sort through, and you just think, I'm never going to get the hang of it. I don't really understand it. I don't fully really know what I'm doing. I just need someone to sit me down and just explain to me how this works in a way that makes sense. And, you know, step 1, step 2, step 3. And it just saves you so much time, because you can literally go for weeks or months or, you know, sometimes even years not really fully understanding something. And actually, all you needed was half an hour of someone sitting down and just explaining it to you in a way that makes sense. And you just think, oh, that's so simple. Now you've explained it like that. So that's something that I'm really excited about offering as well. Now, down here, we've got, I imagine most people will jump off at this point so they can get the information that's going to be most relevant to them. But if you're looking for more general information, or that was too specific, down here we have links to the blog. So the blog in its entirety. These down the side will probably change. They're basically just what's really popular at the moment. So branding's very popular at the moment. Finding your ideal audience members popular. And coming soon will be the journey to 1,000 email friends that you can read as well. Basically, if you come down here, this is kind of like everything that we offer. So if you haven't seen anything that really takes your fancy, this is kind of like the last chance to find something that you are really going to connect with. So we've got the business for beginners, we've got the Going Pro, we've got Instagram. Instagram's always going to be a really cool bit of the business, just because it's where most of our community hangs out. So that's always going to be really important to me. Again, just to reiterate the coffee clubs, I said it is the main focus, the main aspect of the website to build this community. So that's popping up again. And then finally, for those of you who've been following me for a while, these are brand new. So these are the 2 services that I'm going to be offering starting January. The Instagram audit, which is basically, I get a lot of questions about Instagram, like loads and loads of questions about Instagram. And I find what happens is someone will say, I'm not getting engagement on Instagram because of, say, themes. So, you know, my pictures aren't really very coherent. Can you take a look at my account and maybe give me a couple of ideas? So I'll, you know, say, yeah, sure. So I'll pop over, look at the account and think, oh yeah, you know, I can see kind of where the problem is, maybe where you could change this or reposition this a little bit. But as I'm looking through, I'll also think, you know, I can see a couple of other things that, you know, maybe we could work on as well. So the Instagram audit is basically me coming over to the account, finding a list of everything that I think could be maybe repositioned a little bit better, or added in or taken out perhaps, sitting down with you and just really tackling it full on for like an hour and a half and just getting it all sorted out and done. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And the second thing is the one-on-one mentoring. Now, at the moment, this is going to really specifically focus on content, because a lot of people, I think, have problems with content, and I think it's probably one of the main reasons people actually kind of give up, you know, in that blogs don't really seem to last over a year or two, because people just think, I can't keep creating all this content all the time. It's burning me out. I just can't think of ideas to write about. It's taking up so much time. I don't have time for anything else other than writing content, and, you know, the business is just dying. And it really doesn't need to be that way. I've been doing this for a long time now, and I've come up with quite a few ways to get around this issue, not only to bring the time down that you spend on content, but most importantly, to actually make sure that content is really effective and actually doing the job that it's there to do, which is convert you know, people into followers, into email subscribers, and into customers. So that's something I'm really, really excited about as well, just because it's a problem that I see so many people having, and I really want to fix that for them. And then finally, we've just moving down here, we've got a selection of the most recent blog posts if you just want to check out what's on the blog at the moment. And then just at the bottom, we've got this kind of snazzy footer going on. It's quite interesting, actually. My previous footer, I switched on, there's an app called SumoMe, and it has a section in it called heat maps. And what that does is that you can see where people have clicked on your blog, which I find very useful. And on my previous website, I think maybe actually no people at all. I don't think ever really got down to the footer and never really clicked on it. But interestingly, I turned the heat map on yesterday when the site launched, and a couple of people already signed up for the coffee club through this link at the bottom of the footer. So that's interesting, and I will keep you posted on footer activity, because I think that is something I hadn't really considered before. So I had created a footer that has a bit more going on, again, to focus back on that client journey, to make sure that if you do get to the bottom, you can easily navigate your way back to the rest of the site, to whatever's going to interest you. So I've talked quite a lot about all of that there, so I'm just going to very briefly just go through the couple of other pages on the website just to give you a look. It's the About Us page. So obviously it has a bit about me, but most importantly, it's also got this customer journey in mind. Again, you've got the options there to say, you know, how can we help you? Because although it's important that, you know, when people come to the About page, obviously they do want to know about you, but their priority is really to find out how you can help them. So I absolutely think it is a priority on that page to really let people know how you can help them, and that your story is kind of almost secondary to that in a lot of respects. In the middle here, we've got a dedicated page to the coffee club. So as I said before, really interested in having specific pages for specific offerings. It gives you a lot more information about it. It's something that I've been working on for a long time. It's been my dream for a long time to launch this. So I really hope you will go and check it out if you do have time. And at the bottom here, there is basically all the membership benefits, masterclasses, office hours, private members club, all of this, and welcome pack goodies, which are going to remain a mystery for now, but I'm working on them. They're going to be exciting. And then again, just to reinforce the fact that we are in fact a business, and you know, we have services. We've got the Work With Me button very clearly up here with the content mentoring, Instagram audit. There's a waiting list at the moment that'll be coming soon. And then the blog we've got here that is split. So we've got all posts, beginner posts, and kind of advanced grow your business kind of posts. So if you don't go through the options on the homepage, you can still choose what kind of area of business you want to go into, and we'll have a couple of more levels added to that as we go on. And finally, the very last thing I want to mention is this little thing here, which you may notice, it's probably a bit difficult to see on the YouTube screen, but it's a shopping bag. And as you can see at the moment, we have the Instagram book in there, and the shop will be coming soon. Okay, so I know if you've been following me for a while, I've been talking about the Boss Club shop, as it used to be called, for quite some time, and I'm really excited to get that up in the next couple of days. I've got some prints ready to go that you can buy that have kind of got our branding on them at the moment, and there'll be some photography stuff going up there, as well as some more books and business supplies as well. So this is kind of basically everything we have at the moment. You'll be hearing more about kind of what's going to be in the coffee club. So I said this is kind of the priority for us over the next couple of weeks. I'll be looking for some ideas for masterclasses from you guys. I really am interested in knowing what it is that you really want me to tackle for you. It'll be an hour class with plenty of workbooks and resources as well. So if you have any ideas about anything that you really want me to tackle, just drop me an email. You can either reply to this newsletter, or you can find the contact details under the Work With Me tab. So do let me know if you have anything in particular that you would like me to work on.